حياكم مرة ثانية، معكم اخوكم عبد السلام. نبدأ نكمل الحين. نبدأ القضية الثالثة. خلينا نشوف المسائل اللي طلعتها هنا. اوب lost in thoughts, increase the time limit, each phrase. يب نحطه. handy work. حلو، قبل نكملهم فل. لحظة شوي. handy work allows you to reload 2 bullets at once. يب هذه ممتازة. أنا بشوف الشيء الأدلة حقتنا على السريع. مانكم فايل تارب دالي سامر. هم راحوا للحمام. هذه ناوس بنت عندك تنبطح. وهذا يقول نوت الساعة انتهت على 6. قطعة ورقة مع بعض. والاي هاند بوك، ان الاي هاند بوك ما له دخل. يلا
Let's begin. If you can figure out who done, then I'll punish it. Now then, to begin.
We already know who did it.
مستعجل. الله يهديه.
It was Hiro. He does not have an alibi for when the murders took place, and we found him in that suit. Don't try to
هذه من أدلة يعني تكفي.
I didn't. Someone knocked me out. I was asleep the whole time. I don't know anything about it.
صادق هو. مالك حق تقولي له هو قاتل.
Who are you calling a murderer?
حتى أقول مين أنت؟ مالك حق.
I am sorry to say, Hiro, but we do have evidence. Blueprints for the suit.
بس هذه ما بأدلة كافية.
To build it, and all of it was found in your room. You have to admit, the evidence is quite compelling.
ما تكفي.
It points to you as having created the suit and wearing it while committing crime after crime.
How many times do I have to tell you? I don't know. I don't know.
صعبة. هو يعني ممكن واحد ذبحهم وجد على الأدلة على غرفته، لأن غرفته كانت مفتوحة. يا so hero's message.
Everything we found in your room, the blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I don't know anything about that stuff. It's not true. It's a conspiracy.
Hiro, why? Why did you kill them?
No! Just hold on a second.
Look at the blueprints. The handwriting is awful messy. الكتاب اصبر.
Everything we found, the blueprints,
the suit parts, they are
صوته تغير.
No, that's wrong.
قاعد يقول لا شوف الخط، خط اليد.
Are we sure Hiro really made those blueprints?
Yep.
What do you mean?
الخط اليد.
Take a look at this. It's the note that Hiro wrote, asking everyone to meet up after Alter Ego disappeared.
صح.
The handwriting's obviously different, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
When you compare it to the blueprints.
There's no way you could think the same person made both of them.
Unless that person made it a point to disguise their handwriting.
ما أتوقع إنه يقدر.
the differences are bigger than that, I think.
Come on. I'm not smart enough to try to change my handwriting anyway.
يعترف هو حتى بعد.
Are you saying you don't think Hiro's the culprit?
And he's not the only one.
حتى بياكيا.
I think Hiro's innocent as well.
What?
Then who was in that Robo-Justice suit? Is it like Hiro said? Was there really someone running around in a second suit?
The suspicious
أتوقع.
individual hidden within the suit. Go ahead, Makoto. Tell them who it was.
أكيد إنه هنا.
Who was in the Robo-Justice suit?
الوحيد هيرو.
I got it! Other than Hiro, I can't think of anyone else it could have been. Obviously, he was the one in that particular suit. And we never found any kind of second suit.
إيه
There
بس.
can be no doubt. Hiro is the prime suspect.
قالوا تبريثهم ونرجع لسك الجريمة عليه.
You just said Hiro didn't do it.
It makes perfect sense. Hiro was the suspicious individual in the suit, but he's not the culprit.
صح.
So what you're saying is
القاتل واحد ثاني.
the culprit in this case has nothing to do with being in the Robo-Justice suit.
What?
Now that's a bold assumption.
And what reason do you have to make such a statement? You do have a reason, yes.
أكيد إنه بيقول أنا.
Of course. But before we get to that, there's something else we need to clarify first. So let's get that out of the way.
وشو؟
Hey, stop trying to boss us around.
All things have a proper order.
انا اتفق مع حد بياك يا حنين، هنا انت كويسه بس خلي السالفه جديه بقوه.
What is it? What needs to be clarified?
We must clarify the method of transportation for Taka's lifeless body. It would seem that his corpse was moved using certain particular items. Makoto,
صح اكيد انه
tell
هنا
us what they were.
كانت الدولي والتارب.
I got it!
got it. يب التارب.
I got it! They were a dolly and a tarp, right?
ايه وراك معصب.
So, let's see if I can explain. Taka's body disappeared from the equipment room. And then we rediscovered it in the repository.
Eh.
And when we found it for the second time, it was wrapped in a blue tarp, right?
الى الان وضع سلام، الوضع كويس.
It was the same tarp that up until then was stored in the equipment room. So the killer must have seen it there and decided to use it when they moved Taka's body. That way, they wouldn't leave any bloodstains while they were moving it.
صح
Okay, that explains the tarp. And the dolly?
Same thing.
نفس الكلام، هي كانت موجوده بعد
I'm
بالكومنت
sure
روم.
the dolly was in the equipment room when we first found Taka's body there.
هذا شيء انا سويت سكيب.
But when the body disappeared,
سويت سكيب but Taka's body there.
so did the dolly. Later, when Taka's body reappeared in the repository,
الدولي والتارب كانوا معهم.
so did the dolly.
In other words, you think they used the dolly to move the body. Am I right?
ايه
But are you
Dolly.
sure you are not mistaken?
شلون؟
Are you absolutely positive the dolly was in the equipment room when we found Taka's body?
ايه موجوده لا زالت.
That dolly was made specifically for moving large objects between the repository and the art room. It would be very strange indeed to discover it had made its way to the equipment room. Is it not possible that it was in the repository all along and you simply didn't realize it?
انا ما نبي حمار.
Raised an objection. How do you respond?
There is no shame in being wrong. Nobody expects much from you anyway. We have all accepted the fact that you rarely understand what is going on around you.
ايه انا ما حليت قضيتين قبل ابدا. شو make your argument؟ لا bullet time battle. غريب بداية القضية حيث تكون بالعادة النهاية the moment of truth.
You have it wrong.
صح الرصاصات
Cannot
الحين.
agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you.
away with you.
You miserable wretch.
كل تبن. شو الهطنازة ذي؟
I cannot agree. You are a fool.
مشكلة-
Lies will get you nowhere.
مشكلة أبوك
Do your worst. You miserable wretch.
إنك ما تتفقين معي.
You have it wrong.
كل تبن.
I cannot agree.
moment of truth final strike.
I cannot agree.
بو مثلث بسرعة.
This should prove it. If you're asking for proof that the dolly moved, I have it right here. When I
هذا
found
هو.
the dolly
أشوف
in the
الدم.
repository, one of the wheels had a blood stain on it.
يلا تقدرين تقولين
There was
لا.
blood in the equipment room with a tire mark in it that matched the dolly wheel's tread. The killer probably rolled the dolly through the blood on accident as they wheeled the body out of the room. And as the blood dried on the tire, they moved the body into the repository. So there's my proof that the dolly was
Boom. يلا
used to
تقدر
move
تردين.
Taka's body.
وراك زعلتي.
Well, anyway, that was just something we had to get out of the way. Let's get back to the main subject.
إيه
Yeah.
وشو؟
The subject of how Robo-Justice didn't do it. Because if it's not a killer robot, then what kind of robot is it?
ما أتوقع أن هذا شيء
I'm
مهم.
not sure that really matters.
I'd be happy to explain why the occupant of the suit couldn't possibly be the killer.
ليه؟
If you look back on how the body was transported, it will become immediately obvious.
إيه صح. صح 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 صح, صح عرفت ليه؟ لأنه تلاحظ ما عليه ايدين لا طريقة واحدة انك تدفها لازم تنزل.
As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room.
صح.
And from there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp,
طيب.
then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
صح.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over.
ما عندك.
Then you could push the dolly no problem. So the killer just crouched down and carted the body off to the repository.
If you accept everything we just said, then you must realize that whoever was in the suit couldn't possibly be the culprit.
Sorry, I don't think I realized anything.
عادي مو بلازم تدري. انه ما يقدر يدفها.
As we know.
Hello?
And from there.
Yeah.
لما نسوي
then
skip.
loaded it on.
Now, keep in mind.
Well, yeah, but even all you'd have to do is bend over.
نوب. حتى انت بعد مجربتها تقول لي ما يمديك ما يمديني انزل.
You're absolutely right that you could push a dolly without a handle if you stoop down low.
هذه صح بس اذا انت لابس البدله لا.
Do you think you could actually get into a position like that?
لا.
What do you mean?
Think back to what you said when we were all checking out the suit together. Remember?
ايه. تقول ما يمديك تنزل.
When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't even bend at the waist.
ايه.
Am I right about that?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
اها
It
كفتك.
seems like it'd be awfully hard to push that dolly if you couldn't bend over.
Well, what's to stop you from simply pushing the dolly with your feet?
When
صعبة.
you can't even see your feet?
اي صح.
You really think someone could kick the dolly all that way?
Yeah,
No.
it'd be totally impossible. Not that I can say for sure myself.
On top of that, if you were wearing such a rigid, cumbersome suit, it's very unlikely you would have the dexterity to go about wrapping the body in a tarp.
يعني ما عندك وقت اصلا.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the body?
ما عندك تفكه. لا. You can't take it off by yourself.
I got it! I don't think taking off the suit was an option.
ما عندك تفك لحالك. تذكر هي حتى اضطرينا نساعده صح ما كانت معنا.
That's true. It seems impossible to put the suit on or take it off without help.
Yep.
Then, you really can't take it off by yourself? Hero wasn't just making it up?
ايه.
Of course I wasn't making it up.
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it.
صح.
Showing up in the suit was basically an invitation for everyone to suspect it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's really, really true that Robo Justice couldn't have moved the dolly?
ايه.
To be clear, whoever did move the body, it couldn't have been Hero in the robot suit, correct?
No, wait. Just a second, if you please.
وشو؟
Have you forgotten about the picture that I took?
صح.
You all got a good look at it, did you not? The image of Hifumi being dragged away by Robo Justice? If whoever was in that suit is not the culprit, how do you explain that? Besides, do you remember what the now deceased Hifumi said?
صح يقول انه واحد طق نفس
So long as
الروبوت.
those facts exist, the proper conclusion is beyond question. The individual inside the suit and the culprit are one and the same. It was Hero, without a doubt.
لا اتوقع.
Yeah, that's gotta be right.
والله انت تصدقين كل شيء بسرعة.
Second.
It's still far too early to reach that conclusion.
تونا بدري.
Besides, there's no hurry to decide who did it before we rush to a verdict. Shouldn't we explore every single possibility? Instead
المفروض
of seizing on one viewpoint, the truth is uncovered by analyzing things from every angle.
اي واحد يقول يلا انت اللي سويت الجريمة.
Here.
انت سويت الجريمة ولازقة بك هذا على طول
Let's
مشتبه.
review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning. Maybe we'll uncover something new.
طيب.
What a pain in the ass!
I don't disagree.
Yep.
But our lives are on the line. If this is what it takes, we have to do it.
Plus,
Hello.
maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went down.
All
yeah.
right then. Let's take another look back at what happened.
أنا
I
بعيد من أول.
suppose we could start with this morning. 4 of us gathered together in the dining hall. Makoto, Hina, Kyoko, and myself.
هذه الآن صح.
We waited there for quite a while, but nobody else showed up. So we went to look for everyone. That was around 8 a.m.
And
حلو.
as soon as we split up, Kyoko went missing.
Soon after that, Hina found Celeste in the rec room and quickly came to get Makoto and me.
It seems I was unconscious for about an hour after I was attacked by my mystery assailant. I know it was an hour because I remember being attacked a little after 7.
That was when we saw Celeste's
Yep.
picture and discovered that her assailant had been wearing a strange costume.
الآن وضع يعني كويس، ما في شيء
As it
غريب.
turns out, it was Robo-Justice.
صوت ساكرا. It was Robo Justice. وشلون قالوا بدون ما
Also
يضحكون؟
soon became clear that this same Robo-Justice had abducted Hifumi. We were soon joined in our search by Byakuya and Toko, and then went on to find Hifumi in the library. He was injured, so we took him to the nurse's office and resumed our search for the suspect.
إيه.
But not long after leaving the nurse's office,
قبلنا بياكويا. لا. اللي قبل.
When Celeste told us that, we decided to split up and search the second floor. And soon after that,
I saw someone moving around on the 3rd floor, and I yelled out to everyone as soon as I did.
شلون شفتي احنا ما شفنا شيء؟
and then,
ثم لقينا شفنا
at that
كيفومي.
point, we decided to divide up into 2 groups. Celeste, Hina, and I went back to the nurse's office, while Sakura, Byakuya,
راح
and
يدورون
Toko
فوق.
chased after the suspect. When we got back to the nurse's office, we found Hifumi, and that's when we heard the body discovery announcement.
يب. الآن وضع كويس.
I left Celeste and Hina there and headed back to the 3rd floor to let the others know what had happened.
بس بطريقك الجثة أنا لقيت تاكا.
meanwhile, we had just discovered Taka's body in the equipment room. We must have found both bodies at almost exactly the same time, because we heard the same announcement not long after we discovered his body.
And that's when I told you guys about Hifumi.
إيه الآن وضع
The 3
كويس.
of us headed for the nurse's office, but right after we left the physics lab, we ran into Celeste, who'd arrived after us. And she told us something very surprising.
وشو؟ أن الجثة اختفت صح؟
We rushed back to the nurse's office and saw that she was right.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko passed out in the equipment room, so we hurried back again.
حلو. يب لقينا جثة تاكا مختفية.
But when we got there, we discovered that now Taka's body had also gone missing. Next thing we knew, we were searching the school for 2 missing dead bodies. And after some time,
لقينا
Celeste
اثنين مع
informed
بعض.
us that she'd found the bodies, and we all headed to the repository, which is where we rediscovered the corpses.
I think that about covers it.
I
يب
see.
هذول كلهم.
The whole thing sounds exceptionally complicated.
قوة.
It certainly seems to me that these are not a simple series of connected events.
Okay, well, if that's true, then what?
Rather than a single series of events,
إيه.
I think we have to consider each murder a separate situation.
شلون يعني قضية مثلا اللي ذبح هيفومي واحد واللي ذبح
And
تاكا
from
واحد.
there, we can uncover the contradictions surrounding all of them. Now then, let's get started, beginning with what happened to Taka.
حلو. يا خلينا نبدأ تاكا أول. معكم فايل.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last
what makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
ما أتوقع لا. جس هامر والنمبر بعض. صح يمكن واحد
So,
تختم الارقام هذه عشان
perhaps it was. We already
يلخبط
know what order they would kill. Taka came last.
What makes
يلخبط
Because
ال
of the numbering of the justice hammers.
يمكن استخدم بس عشان يعني
Taka's death?
See?
يهك عليكم بس.
Taka came. So, I wonder if, or perhaps it was. We already know what order they were killed.
لا
No, that's wrong.
ما اتوقع.
Hold on. There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same order as their numbers. If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to disguise their actions.
يمكن.
So you're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used in order, but in reality Taka was killed before Hifumi?
Yep.
Okay then, let's see the proof.
evidence. الوقت ساعة. wrist watch الحين مكتوب. اوه لا واو. wrist watch. That's wristwatch.
Now I understand. I got it. Taka's wristwatch.
Yep.
See? Look. It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer. Because as of last night.
كانت تشتغل.
So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked around 6 this morning.
And that would
Yep.
be his official time of death.
But if that's true, then he was killed well before Hifumi.
And
بكثير.
before Celeste was attacked this morning, which happened around 7.
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents took place.
That simple fact slipped past all of us. We made the wrong assumption about the order of events, all because of those justice hammers.
Yep. جالس اسحب على justice hammers.
Exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer and had them increase in size.
حك علينا بقوة.
When we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily make that wrong assumption.
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out the window.
Yep. كلنا ملومين.
Because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder, but
بس هيفومي
all
لا.
of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's death.
That's right. With him, at least, we're all safe.
صح الحين كنا مع بعض طول هالوقت.
When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Except for Hiro and Kyoko. Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body.
You know ميت بقوة.
Totally true. We're all in the clear.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later on!
ورا ما لقيناه.
It's true. Where's the tape?
I don't know.
على طول استسلم.
Making stuff up.
Anyway, we all have rock-solid alibis for when we heard Hifumi scream. Since all of us were there together, clearly none of us could have killed him.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when we discovered his body had disappeared. When his body vanished from the nurse's office, Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room, correct?
إيه
And then
إلى الآن وضعي.
there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office because of Hifumi going missing.
Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
صح.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka's body out of there right then!
Even if she
لا.
could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with
صح.
Hifumi's body. Because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body disappeared.
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway.
In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi. On the other hand,
بغت.
Hiro and
لحظة. بس killed. In other words, possible of us could have killed Hifumi or moved their bodies.
Kyoko had disappeared, so they most certainly could have done those things.
يمكن.
So what now, Kyoko?
يب معلقين
For
حنا.
now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles. So instead of who, I
شلون؟
propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And
Yep,
according
ما في
to
أي
what
شيء ثاني.
Celeste said,
ايه صح نروح دقيقة ودقيقتين للحمام
his
تكرم.
body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it. But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the third in that short amount of time?
مستحيل هذا شيء أي واحد ما يقدر عليه.
Yeah, there's no way. It'd be impossible.
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
وشلون؟
If the dead body were to move itself.
ها؟
The dead body moved on its own?
No.
Ghost.
Not another.
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
كان يتظاهر بس.
Alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
But I
Yep.
mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Perhaps he was
ما
simply
أتوقع.
playing dead.
That it isn't possible.
لو تفكر بها وليش سمعنا حق إعلان الجثة مرتين؟ Make your argument. Broken wristwatch.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible.
ليه؟
Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us.
صح.
Hifumi's dead body had been found,
طيب.
and that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
يمكن كانت جثة تاكا.
Are you
So
saying
skip.
that when we first there's a chance he... No. Hifumi was dead, and you know that. Surely you heard the body Hifumi's dead body had been found.
no, that's wrong.
يمكن كانت واحد ثاني.
Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
بس حنا لقينا الجثة بنفس الوقت كل ثنتين.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
Yep.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there somewhere. I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if two bodies had been found, there really should have been two announcements.
صح.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
الاحتمالية بس خلنا نسأله
What do
هو.
you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail.
علمنا.
But what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
That
طيب.
didn't answer our question, man. We're asking if you're a lazy bum.
No, actually, that was plenty.
Huh?
He said it's only
Oh, yeah?
broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time, which means
إيه؟
even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement again.
صح. احنا لما لقينا جثة تاكا مرة ثانية ليش ليش طلع مرة قال مرة
True,
ثانية؟
then why was the announcement made again later on?
صح.
Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement twice.
The first time played was when we found the nurse office, and the second time when both bodies when both bodies were rediscovered.
We heard it a second time in the repository, when we rediscovered the two bodies.
صح.
It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us, doesn't it?
Yep.
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
And in reality, when the two dead bodies were rediscovered, one of them was actually being discovered for the
لأول
first
مرة.
time.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't actually dead yet.
ايه ما كان ميت.
He wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
And that's just part of it. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know!
وشو؟
Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boom!
بلا بينج بلا
That
بوم.
is the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still alive.
إلا
Okay
فيه.
then, let's take another look at the events surrounding the discovery of his body.
طيب.
Then it should become clear whether he was really alive or not.
This whole thing is pointless.
بوينتلس ايه بس لازم نكمل. Hifumi's glasses.
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office.
ايه
And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
صح.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But
كويس.
when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being moved, other than the change in how it was positioned,
لا.
there was no notable difference.
لا فيه.
Then, was he really still alive?
Of course not. It is impossible. This is ridiculous.
لا فيه. في دليل.
Well, here's one. The first time we found him, and then his body
And the next time it was in.
But when you compare his body before,
Other than the change in how it was, there was no notable difference.
لا كان في فرق.
No, that's wrong.
نظاراته.
In fact, there was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His
نظاراته.
glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
Perhaps you'd like to fill the rest of us in?
طيب.
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glasses were covered with blood.
بس نقرأ هنا كانت نظيفة.
Then later in the repository, they were spotless. And I found the item he used to wipe them clean in the nurse's office trash can.
الدليل كان والمنديل هذا.
I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth.
تيجي
would make
جثة
things clear.
تيجي جثة يفون بعد شيء يقول لا مو بكرتون ما انمي قصدك.
This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glasses clean.
Yep.
And the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera, right?
وكانت مين حقت الكاميرا؟
And whose digital camera was it?
هيفوميز.
Hifumi's, of course.
the character was Princess Piggles from Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy Princess, I think.
مين يهتم
I
للاسم؟
highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like this to school.
صح.
I see your point. And the only people here who wear glasses are...
اكيد المنديل هذا البياكويا.
Caught dead using a tacky piece of garbage.
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
Then
That's-
there's no question. It belonged to Hifumi.
So what you're saying is... What exactly?
What
حمار.
I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses was wiped away using his own glasses cleaning cloth.
ايه.
Even if that is true, it does not mean he wiped the blood off himself.
طيب ليش القاتل يبي يمسح
A
الدم؟
clean pair of glasses, other than the glasses owner.
صح.
That's a good point.
Then it must have been him, right?
ايه.
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can see. Then he stands up and walks out on his own 2 feet. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes possible,
Yep.
wouldn't you say?
But then, if he was just pretending to be dead, what was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
لا.
The fridge in the nurse's
إيه،
office
لقينا
contains
دمان
packs of blood for
ثلاجة.
emergencies. He probably used one of those.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out, so he just dumped it everywhere.
حمار.
But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done. God, what an idiot!
And if Hifumi was still alive
طيبة
at
دي.
that point,
كل ما
this
تتكلم وناسة.
Taka's body is easily explained. It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
يب هيفومي.
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
صح.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
The door was locked? Well,
ايه كانت
after the
مقفلة.
bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside. Which means, when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only
كانت
have been
هيفومي.
Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka's body there.
He convinced us all he was dead. And when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository.
طيب إذا كان هو اللي سوى الجريمة، مين اللي يذبحه؟
So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murders.
I just can't believe it.
طيب وراه.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
ايه.
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
الورقة. وينه؟ يب the note in Hifumi's hand.
I got it!
هات عفوا.
You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
يب.
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
كلهم.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
يب هذا هو ملكون الله.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go.
ايه.
Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
يب
I see.
الوقت.
Then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hiro, and that person could only have been...
Hifumi's pants. Taka.
I got it! That's right! Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
بام براسه. برابينج برابوم.
Oh, over here! Objection! Objection!
طيب
I don't
سمي.
really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right?
صح.
Whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy!
تيك توك هافي.
Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi,
Eh.
right? Oh, yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
يعني حتى بعد هي اصلا اعترفت قالت انا ما ادري ايش قاعد يصير هنا بس عندي اعتراض. Let's wash Hifumi's glasses clean cloth.
Huffy had the note, right?
لازم
The
الساعة.
person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
لا.
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6.
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter!
الا.
The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
صح الا لو تلاحظين لا.
Huffy had the note, then the
لان الساعة كانت بيده.
Remember what time did it... 6 a.m. The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
الا له علاقة بتيك توك.
No, that's wrong. No, there absolutely is a connection.
الوقت.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wristwatch. But
ايه
there's more.
هذه الان.
Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
صح.
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think
إلى
there
الآن
should
وضع
be
كويس.
plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
صح الى الان. زين ايش رجع لان عنده اعتراض.
That? No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. Just the same as me.
بس الوقت كان يفرق.
The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster. Tell it they found a way out.
يعني يسحب انه ذبح الناس بس انه هك عليهم.
They gave the note to Taka. What was Hifumi doing with it?
يحطه بسرواله.
Stuffed down his pants, no less.
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
ايه.
He stole it?
Where's
ايه
your
بغبية.
proof? Go ahead, show us.
الورقة مقطوعة. وين هذه.
I got it. When I searched Taka's body, I saw
كان
that
بيده
his
ماسكة.
lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from
السؤال
is...
الأدلة وين تروح ينجو يغبونه؟ هل ماركوما يغبيهن يعني؟
I knew it. It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap.
Yup. They're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi
طيب مين اللي
had
ذبحهم؟
for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
Yep.
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
قوة.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive.
لا.
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead.
يعني ما عندنا نبض ولا
The
شيء.
body discovery announcement proves that.
صح.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Whoever did is the mastermind, the true killer.
من
He
هو؟
was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
يعني بالنص. نص هالفوضى هذه اللي قاعدة
During that
تصير.
time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
صح.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together. Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus.
والرس.
Calling a walrus.
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too.
طيب.
But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
وش
And what
تكفى؟
might that be?
دعنا يا هيرو.
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
وش به؟
Weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all.
طيب.
But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right?
صح.
So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it.
تدري شلون أول مرة تقول شيء له فايدة؟
Wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
لا والله صدق أول مرة تقول شيء له فايدة.
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain around that skull of yours after all.
حتى هو بعد يقولها.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
رهيب أنت والله.
He's right though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments.
صح.
But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers?
يمكن ما كان انهنس تحت
Personally,
الجريمة.
I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
يعني هذول واحد واثنين بالجريمة.
Then,
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
يب هذه
I
هي.
don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
المطرقة ذيك اللي لقيناه. اللي قال ناشفة ومكبوب عليه موية. هي هذه سلاح الجريمة. Spotless.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info.
murdergear.com/hammertime. اوكي.
The murder weapon had to be one of the justice hammers.
ما اتوقع لا.
And that's about it.
لا غلط. اصبر.
What was used? Was it just maybe justice?
Well, there's one. How was the culprit? How did nobody...
Sounds like a justice hammer. Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info.
وهي بدي.
One thing, the murder weapon had to be one of the.
لا.
No, that's wrong. The murder weapon wasn't a justice hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
Yep.
But seriously, a different weapon?
Go on.
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi.
صح.
Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But
Yep.
for some
هذه نظيفة
reason,
بس.
one of them had been scrubbed clean.
صح.
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off.
صح. لازم ينظفه لأن تقعد الأدلة عالية.
I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the justice hammers used those as a basis for their design.
من
If
سواهن؟
that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
إيه.
And whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with.
And the one who betrayed him. Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him.
صح ما في دافع له.
The graduation rule works. There is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
صح. ما في يعني الآن ما لقينا الدافع ان يخلي هيفومي يشتغل مع القاتل. فهذه الأسئلة لا زالت تطرح نفسها. سبوتلس هامر لا زالت.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive.
صح.
Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
صح. لا ما في
That
شيء.
is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Two murders في جريمة القتل.
Based on the rules, even if more than one, only the one who actually, assuming the
Rule holds true. No, that's wrong.
ما في جريمة القتل من
Since there
بواحدة.
were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering.
بس في جريمتين صارت ثنتين كل واحدة لحالها.
Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme.
صح.
There's no
ما في
point
أي
in being
شيء
someone's
إنه يشتغل.
accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
يب.
I
هذا
think
أقرب
that's
شيء.
what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka.
حمار وصدق
Made
على
him
طول.
carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents.
يعني جريمتين بنفس
And it
الوقت.
only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
صح.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice.
صح.
Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
الذين كذاب.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of
صح.
accomplice seems odd.
يعني ما قال له هيفومي. جماعته كانت كلها جاي 200 ضد الحالة.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved. But then, who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now.
صح. مين اللي هكن على هيفومي؟ There's another way to unfold. There's only one person can see it. من الشخص الوحيد؟ سلاس ما في الا هي.
Here's my answer.
لو تفكر هيفومي مات ومين كان يعلمنا وين نروح وين نجي؟
Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
ايه.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying then is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The
Yeah.
idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go with intense
عصبت.
Shit for brain
Oh.
fat, lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot.
عصبت.
Pardonnez-moi.
Just to
Okay.
be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
ايه.
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
والدليل هو انه هي الوحيدة بس اللي كانت تشوفه. Encountering the suspicious individual.
I got it.
هي الوحيدة كانت تشوفهم.
The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Yep.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
سم.
Sorry.
يعجبني قلب معليش.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
بدري
After
بقوة.
taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct?
ولا
And
لقيناه.
not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
إن هي شافته بالدرج.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen.
صح.
Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
شفت الروبوت جاستس.
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
صح. صرخات تروح للمه.
It was to get us to divide into two groups, so that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
ايه.
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
الذين هي اللي مخططة من البداية.
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And
ساكتة
on
ما عنده
top of
شيء.
that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it?
صح.
It was your way of
تلميح
telling
يعني
them,
تلمح
"We're on the
تعلمه.
third floor. Everything's going according to plan." Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
صح.
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead,
طيب. Seth was not expecting this. I did not imagine that Hifumi would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first
صح.
one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
صح.
I don't believe it. Everything, the whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kind of sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait,
حكت عليك.
then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
صح.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed.
صح
Do
عليك.
you agree, Celeste?
عندك دليل او عندك
No
دفاع؟
idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it. But looking back, I can
تذكرنا
say
شيء
that
غريب.
one little slip up was your undoing.
صح.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
Yep. They must be really enjoying this, enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They're all going to die here. We're going to die just like those guys did.
I remember
Died,
her
definitely.
saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then
فكري.
pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room.
صح.
Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once
صح.
we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead.
شلون عرفت؟
Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
صح. شلون عرفت؟ شلون عرفت هذا السؤال يطرح نفسه؟
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this.
صح.
Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those
شلون
guys
عرفت
died.
انه مات تاكا؟
And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
الغريب انه شلون عرفت؟
All I said, they must really enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to.
We are going to die, just like.
No, that's wrong.
شلون عرفت انهم ماتوا؟
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said
Yup.
that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
ساكتة.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste?
عندك
How
دليل؟
did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys?
صح.
Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
ساك-
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations.
هذا بس
You
دفاعك؟
claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw.
إيه.
But what about the picture I took?
كنتوا تتعاونون مع بعض.
How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on. And then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that
طب
suit.
كان مخدر يعني
Yes, I
ومسك
happen to
مسك
know
هيفومي
that
تظاهر.
This particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
صح.
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
في تفسير ثاني للصورة. تفسير هو Hifumi and the suspect were been drinking. Hifumi is dragging the suspect away. Hifumi and the suspect dancing.
I got
وش
it.
صار كانت العكس.
It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away.
بس
I
كان
would say
هيفومي
it's
هو
a
اللي
picture
يسحب.
of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around.
صح.
And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther.
صح
If you
صح.
saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Yep.
Such a thing is utterly impossible.
أكيد.
Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
هلا سمي. دعينتك فين. About justice, issue a message about justice blueprint.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright.
طيب.
If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Then the fortune-telling idiot is the culprit after all!
لا لا.
No way!
If I remember Hina said, she said they couldn't been her waist.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out!
دقيقة. لا.
Then you just draped me across. You tried to make me look like the.
Like I said, as you can see in the picture, if the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight.
غلط.
No, that's wrong. No.
غلط.
Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that.
لأنه ما بدك
Because
تنحني.
that robo-justice suit had a certain characteristic.
ما بدك تنحني.
They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
يعني ثلاث الحين انكبت لأن هيفومي كان
I'm
حمار.
not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
انكبت.
Celeste, that's how they
Oops,
were
قطعت
able to
بالغلط.
fake
So that's Hifumi took the suit special design stuff hero into it.
that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
بدها تنقفض.
I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
بدها تنهار.
Make me laugh, you idiot. What do you mean, checkmate?
معناتها انقفضتي.
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem.
وش هي؟
Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
يبقى الاسم يا هيرو.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not?
بس وراك معصبة.
Said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Wait, but my name isn't really
إيه صح.
Taro. It's actually Taro.
إيه
Your
صح.
confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
خليك ساكت.
He did say Yasuhiro. But are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko,
يلا.
what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
He said for serious a lot he gave everyone nicknames. لا كان يعطي يقول الاسامي الأخيرة بس.
That's right. Our last names. He called us all by our last names.
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name.
لا صعبة.
Don't talk.
Don't talk.
Random
اسكتي.
chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal.
Yep.
But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
يمكن كأنه تعب شيء، ولا اقدر اقول مستر
So
ياهاغاكري.
Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
طب وش اسم يا شو اسمه هي؟ الثلاثي الاخير.